What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all so much for tuning in once again. So I am back with another reaction video for you guys. Now this video is a reaction to what I've been seeing all over social media, where they're claiming that ICE agents are arresting Black people in Chicago, but there's a lot of misinformation that's going around. There are people who are making videos saying that ICE agents are now arresting Black people, but they're not very specific. I don't believe that these Black people are being arrested and deported or anything like that. But then again, I'm not sure. There are people who are saying that this is lies, that this is misinformation that's being spread. So I want to play a few snippets of some clips that I saw on social media, and I want to kind of elaborate on this a little bit more of what's actually happening. But I want to get your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts about this? You know, because remember when all of this started, people were saying that, hey, Black people, y'all need to be concerned because y'all are going to be next. And I was like, what do you mean? So now people are actually like taking this out of proportion and they're creating their own narratives about this. But I want to play what is actually happening from the people on the ground in Chicago. That way we can get a better perspective. And also we have to question whether this is a true narrative and if they're trying to spin something to cause people to start, you know, acting out because of a bigger plot. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting and I wanted to share. So make sure you chime in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Let's get into the video. Here we go.
Chicago, you need to stop lying and saying, and people on this internet need to stop lying and saying that they're coming for Black people. Yes, there was a building in a Black community that was not majority Black because it had been overran by illegal gang bangers. Let's be clear. So why everybody want to keep throwing that narrative around, half of South Shore is invaded by illegals. That's the truth. So don't get on here saying Black people are being came for. They're coming because they're in our neighborhoods and our communities. That's why. So yes, they're going to go in buildings where Black people live and sleep because they put them in buildings where Black people live and sleep. South Shore, born and raised. I know what I'm talking about. Stop pushing that narrative because it's not correct. Building was not majority Black when the ICE came the other day. Yes, Black people were affected, but this building was overran by illegal Venezuelan gangs. And I just had several conversations with residents who are moving their stuff out of here that confirmed that.
Now, this is what I've been hearing too, that they were sending these agents and these people in Chicago to help get rid of the gangs and the violence that was occurring in the neighborhoods and in the apartment complexes that people have been complaining about for some time. So that was what I was under the impression, that they were sending those folks out there to try to help the situation that many of the residents were complaining about. I didn't think that it was a situation, because I think what a lot of people are making it seem like is if Black people or Black Americans are being deported, which they thought would happen. And that is not the case. That is not what's happening. They're out there to try to, you know, get the city back in order, because I've been hearing a lot of stuff going on in Chicago and, you know, it's gotten out of hand. So I do believe her when she says that they're out there to try to get rid of the gang violence. It's not of which people were making it seem like, oh, they're just deporting Black Americans and arresting them. Now, there are reports that Black people have been detained, but American Blacks are not being arrested or deported from what I'm hearing, but they were detained in all of this that happened because they were out here looking for illegals and gang members. But it wasn't just an idea or a situation where they were just arresting Black American citizens and deporting them or anything like that. And I think that was kind of the sentiment that some people were putting out here and got people all up in arms, making them think that this was actually happening. But that is really not the case. Let's continue.
So stop letting media put that false narrative in your head that somebody coming for you, because they not. You was born here. You was born on this land.
I refuse to allow Black people in Chicago to be co-opted to protect Venezuelan gang members.
Did you hear about the midnight raid in South Shore in Chicago? Here's what just happened and why this matters to you. Are you ready? Let's go. So last night in Chicago's South Shore, federal agents, ICE, swarmed a residential building. Did y'all hear about this? Okay. Now this was in the dark of early morning that this happened, and the operation actually left these black folks, these residents, traumatized. Because wouldn't you be?
But you know what? Democrats are literally the dim tail, and they're always going to make sure that they entrench cartel and Venezuelan gangs and whoever inside of black areas, so that the moment you try to get those people out, they can easily say, oh, and say they're trying to harm black people. They racial profiled the black people. Think about it. Chicago had a choice about where they dropped all of these illegal aliens off once they got transported here from the southern border. They had a choice, and they purposely entrenched them in areas with black people. Do you think that was a mistake? Do you think that was an accident? It's not an accident. They want to be able to say, oh, look what happened. The federal government is targeting and racial profiling black people. No, they're actually profiling Trinidad. And I can give you some quick screenshots of multiple operations that have had to be done in Chicago, even in the last year or so, to arrest like 20, 10. Like, it's been multiple big groups of Trinidad, however you say it, arrested here in Chicago because they are embedded in Chicago. So no, I refuse to play the race game that Democrats always want to play the moment they get literally discovered.
You know, and she has a point. It's always the race game when something like this, to get black people all up in arms. It's to get black people mad, because you know when you get them mad, then they want to protest and march over something that they may not even be that may not even be true, because we are usually black people are triggered by race. You know, you can say things, racial things, and it gets them going, you know, and they use that because they know we're easily triggered when it's, you know, about race. And so when I look at this situation, it does seem like that is what they're trying to do, trying to rile up black people, to make people start, you know, acting out and doing crazy things so they can then turn around and blame you for it, you know, or get you to try to support something that really has nothing to do with you. Because once again, when all of this started, this was not an issue for black people. You know, the deportations had nothing to do with us, American foundational black Americans. It had nothing to do with us because we knew that it didn't affect us. But now somehow, some way, now black people are being thrown into it to make it a bigger issue that really didn't affect us initially. So now it does seem like they're trying to get some type of response from black people, or get black people to start to either, you know, have an issue with what's happening, somehow in support of what's happening at the same time. I don't know, but I think now black people are a little bit smarter. They realize what's happening, and they're not, from what I'm seeing, they're not buying it. Also, I think it's almost like trying to get a rise. They tried different tactics to try to get a rise out of black people when it wasn't necessary, and it's not happening. So now you're using this so people can start to, you know, think that, oh, they're deporting American citizens, or they're arresting foundational black Americans, and we're not doing anything to get people mad, to cause a stir for whatever reason or another. And I don't think that it's working, but I do see that it seems to be an effort to do that. And I just don't understand why. Like, this had nothing to do with black American people who are citizens of this country. There was nowhere to deport black people. It was interesting to me when a lot of, you know, other people thought that black people would be the ones deported, and they didn't realize that, you know, black people are citizens for real. Like, we're born here. This is our country, and you can't take us or deport us anywhere else. So I don't know. So that didn't work. So now it seems like, you know, a game that's being played to try to get black people in the midst of all of this and get black people angry and mad at something to start something else, you know. And what do you guys think? I want to know y'all thoughts. Please chime in. Enlighten me on this whole topic. This is crazy though. Let's continue.
For doing some nasty mess. It's always, oh, look what happened to black people. No. Look at you all getting discovered for embedding the cartel in Chicago neighborhoods. No. If anybody was improperly accosted during that raid, I have immediate questions. Did you try to impede federal officers? Because you know what I would never do as a law-abiding citizen? I'm not getting in the way of any CPD, any police departments, and I'm especially not intervening and getting in the way of any federal officer.
Right.
Especially one that is clearly doing an operation that they have warrants to do. The moment you start intervening, they now have a reasonable, a real credible reason to detain you, which is what they did. They detained people who more than likely were impeding their operation. They had like 37 targets. Are y'all okay? And I love to see all these black people who didn't make a single video while all the black people on the south side of Chicago had to live next to gang members. International gang members are in these people's apartment building, but now you make a video. Now you make a video about what happens to them. The conditions of a lot of those apartment units looked atrocious as well, but I didn't see any videos. I didn't see any videos from all these creators who are so compassionate. I didn't see any articles from the Block Club about the terrible conditions those people were living in, because a lot of those apartment units literally didn't even have carpet on the floor from the article they posted. Did ICE pull up the carpet? Be so for real.
Let's talk about Chicago, the frozen people, and black bodies. Because the frozen people are wreaking havoc in Chicago right now. With all the footage that is coming out, the raids, the arrests, the images of them using chemical warfare against people just to get out of traffic, the stories that are coming out about them raiding homeless shelters that have locations that are supposed to be hidden to protect the people in the homeless shelters, stories about them targeting elementary schools and apartment buildings at 1 o'clock in the morning, parading out people, including U.S. citizens, detaining them for hours and separating them from their children. But with all of the stories coming out, these stories that are true stories, there is misinformation being spread with these stories. One in particular that I am seeing is the one about the apartment building. Now, it is true, they raided that apartment building at 1 o'clock in the morning. They went in there 300 strong and tore up the building and people's belongings. They detained multiple people, including U.S. citizens, and arrested 37 people, 2 of which they suspect of being gang members. Now, according to Homeland Security, they were after the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Agua. But their haphazard way of doing it put American citizens at risk and in the crossfire. However, the American citizens that were detained, albeit detained for hours, were then released. They weren't arrested or disappeared. Now, the 37 people that they did arrest, out of those 37 people, even Homeland Security says that only 2 of them were suspected of being a part of the gang. The rest of the 35, there is no reporting on that. It's just the fact that they weren't citizens and thus they be taken. Now, the children who were paraded out and put in zip ties, those kids are assumed to be the kids of those 37 people who were arrested.
It's unfortunate that these kids are caught up in the crossfire and that U.S. citizens are caught up in it as well. But if this is an effort to get rid of gang violence and all of the illegal people who are maybe connected to gangs in that area, if this is the effort that they're going through to get rid of, weed all of that out, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. It's unfortunate that U.S. citizens have to be caught up in it, but I'm glad that they kind of clarified this, because there were people who were making videos making it seem like U.S. American citizens were being deported and taken by ICE, and that is not what's happening. That is not the case. So there's no need for people to get too crazy about it, because that is not the case. They are detaining U.S. citizens, which is bad as it is, but they're not taking them and deporting them or taking them off. They're detaining individuals, I guess, to try to get to the people that they have to actually deport. Like she said, there were people who were taken who were probably illegal citizens, and removing them. And then the people who were affiliated with gangs, they did what they need to do with them. But I want to hear your thoughts on this, though. What do you think about what's happening in Chicago, and how this looks overall? Comment, like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell to be notified when I upload new content, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.